Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special day because we have one of the most decorated lightweights in arm wrestling history, Mindaugas on the show. Say hello to the people.
Yes, hello everyone. Good to join Henry here. Let's see if we can get some interesting questions, as you said.
All right. So, first question, I'm going to start off with a banger right away. Who's the smarter arm wrestler, you or Devon?
hmm Yeah, it's not an easy question. Maybe I should even say Devon because I'm not trying to be too cocky anymore. And I know Devon is a really smart guy in many ways. So I'm not gonna even say that I'm smarter. Like he's really good. And
Now,
normally smart people can recognize smart people, so I'm recognizing how smart Devon is. Yeah.
now, I'll ask a different way of phrasing that question. Let's say, for example, your match against Makarov. If Devon's brain was in your body, would he have been able to win that match?
Um, I feel like even with my own brain, if I try again, I can do much better. But I wasn't just in some kind of weird period where maybe I didn't care as much, and it yeah made some stupid choices, and it didn't work so well. Even though I have a very good idea how to fight against him. I was just kind of expecting that it would go better, even if I don't do a perfect move.
Mhm.
But no, after a few of these strong surges, it's easy to get some damage, and then the things just don't go as planned.
Now,
But Devon, he would probably try some weird King's move, and yeah, you need to. I don't really have any King's move because I never really practice it. I have a theory that you either have a king's move or you have an ability to stay very tight.
mhm.
So I don't lo want to lose that ability. I think it's more beneficial to just stay tight.
Now I have
But
another question. If your
right.
brain was in Devon's brain when Devon faced Gennady, would you have been able to beat Gennady?
Okay, let me remember the match. I remember I was celebrating so much during that match. Not sure why, but I enjoyed the Devon losing.
You were hoping for Devon to lose? That's interesting. Is there any reason you were rooting against Devon?
No, not always, but I think it's just natural for us to, we support each other, but then if somebody is winning too much, suddenly you kind of want to see them lose from time to time. So I think
Yeah.
it was just that time when I felt like, okay, come on,
I mean, you're
somebody
always
has to
rooting for the
defeat him.
underdog. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Whenever
exactly.
someone's
Right.
like it's like Levan. Everyone loves Levan, but we also want to see him lose against Jerry. That would be totally cool.
Exactly. Right. Right. So, but could I do anything better? Devon was very good with his hook, somehow surprisingly initially in that match, I remember. So the power was for sure pretty good. He was not always running, he was really offensive. Um, I guess maybe he made the same mistake like I did against Makarov. We're just being too excited and not so focused. Yeah, it's easy to make that mistake if you're trying to make a show. So yeah,
So
but we
now
learn from those things, and maybe sometimes we just get more serious and get the job done.
Now, you've already alluded to it a few times. What happened wrong against Makarov? Now I'm kind of curious because I remember that first round, initially you looked pretty dominant and you were even talking a bit of shit. And all the
Yeah, I
comments
was
were like,
already
thank God Mindaugas got shut up or whatever. And I was like, really? I mean, he was talking a little smack, but it wasn't that bad. But now I'm kind of curious what happened wrong against Makarov.
so just simply going into the match, I was maybe a bit too excited after winning against Daniel. I felt like okay, I'm very strong, feeling good, nothing hurts, and I felt maybe a bit unbeatable. And the first round went so well, so it was just another confirmation that okay, I'm doing well. I could really hold him in the center. I felt his surges. I felt like his wrist is not holding strong well enough, and then he lifted that elbow to kind of get the restart. which I thought, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. But then the next setup, maybe, the whole situation may be a bit too relaxed, not so focused. And then apparently I cannot really afford being dragged to the side too much and maybe being stuck in that defensive, almost like a hook position, not fully top rolled. So yeah, and the muscles are also just burning. The whole time I was actually still hoping that my endurance would somehow um, make it happen. And but that was maybe also a mistake to rely on endurance because I was just hoping that okay, he will probably start to gas soon. But again, him being mostly in his position apparently drained me more than it drained him. And I also got super pumped. I think I
Hmm.
was maybe taking too much salt right before the match. I was kind of experimenting a little bit with electrolytes, and I felt super warm. Maybe it was too much.
So you kind of felt like when you were right here, you sort of thought he would be gassing more than you would be gassing. And what kind of caught you off guard is, oh shit, this guy's got a little more in the gas tank than I'd anticipated.
Yeah, I felt like sometimes even if I am holding him in a bad position where I wouldn't really like to be, I still felt like okay, maybe it will gas him out more just because he in general has more muscle and more size. So I thought maybe I can stay a little bit longer even in the position which I don't like. But no, no, not a good strategy at all. No.
Hmm. So you think you would do much better in the rematch, I take it.
Yep, yep. I'm hoping for it to happen soon. So let's see.
Do you think you deserve straight to that rematch, or you think you got to prove yourself more? Or you think you should be like, Engin, give it to me right away?
We had some talks with Engin. Not sure how much I can talk about it publicly, but I think it's happening. It's happening.
All right.
So
So
sooner or
they
later,
heard it
it's
here
happening.
first. You and Makarov probably going to happen pretty soon, the rematch. That is one thing I think arm wrestling needs. I think we need more rematches. When a match is close and it's two well-known
Yeah, I would
guys,
really like to run
I'm
it
not
back.
again running not against running back. Like Davit Samushia and Sasha, if they set that again for the exact next event, I'd be happy. No one would be like,
Uh-huh.
"What the hell, man? Why are we doing this?" No, 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 no. Do it again. Do it again. Um, all right. So next question. Who would win between you and peak Engin Terzi?
Huh. Okay, good question. Um, I wonder, should I be very realistic here while trying to answer it, or
Oh no,
should I
start a
just
bunch
make
of
fun of
shit.
Engin a little bit? Um, no, realistically, Engin has an ability to be very good. And I feel like even maybe a few years ago, when he was fighting, he was on a streak of pretty good matches for himself, and I think that was maybe his peak actually.
Really?
Um, so it's not in my mind, it's not a young Engin, not a young skinny Engin. It's jacked 40 something year old Engin.
His prime was recent, is what you're saying.
I think that's what it is, yeah. Which means that I have a pretty good idea of where he was. Yeah, he also lost against Makarov, by the way. He tried it quite a few times. Um, I feel like okay, let's just say we are super close. I would like to have that match if Engin can just get back in shape
Okay.
because it is
Very,
super
very
close.
humble Mindaugas coming out.
Trying to be humble, After losing to Makarov, like before I win against him again, I'm gonna be humble.
All right. But then once you beat him,
But
then
once
you're
I beat
right
him,
back to
okay,
shit
just
talking.
you better wait for it.
All right. I'll have you on for a post-match interview after that, and I'll get like the most arrogant Mindaugas I could possibly have on.
Exactly, exactly.
All right. So, what's your opinion on steroid use in lower weight classes? Do you think it gives you a large advantage? Is the advantage gained similar to the higher weight classes? Is there any advantage?
Right. So, from what I noticed, many of the champs are actually they look clean to me, and I talk to them, and to me, it seems like yeah, the champs are normally clean. Of course, we have maybe some exceptions, but I think it's just in general difficult for anyone who is trying to enhance themselves. You always kind of buy the strength from your own future, in my mind. Maybe you can get better now, but then later on you might still have to get off it, and then you might not feel as good as well. So, and the sport really requires a lot of time to develop those joints, tendons, yeah, connective tissue. Um, so it's a tricky thing. Like you might think that you are, yeah, it's long term versus short term. You might be good for a short term, but are you gonna get as good as the number one guy in the world? Probably no. So, and if no, maybe it's a better strategy to just take your time, do it slowly. So, I really like just taking my time and doing it correctly, especially now when after many years when I really I'd say optimized my training, my food, my everything. If I see that I have some kind of problem, maybe explosiveness is lacking, or maybe endurance is going down, or maybe the top roll is not as good as before, I always know exactly what to do to fix it, and so it's always good, well-balanced routine.
So I take it
So
you don't think it's a huge advantage.
I don't think it's a huge advantage, but no.
Okay, but would you
Of
say
course,
like
if let's say if I took it now, I would probably have a pretty nice peak for a while, yes. Um, but again, in my mind, I don't respect the champions who are only good for a year or two. Not as impressive as dominating for decades. So depends on what your goal is. And I would prefer to dominate for decades.
so now I have another question actually, just to get in to suss out how important you think it is, right? Let's say someone was top five in a weight class, right? They are elite, but they're not the very best, but they were natural. If they started taking steroids, do you think that that would be all they would need to become number one in their weight class?
Um, if they start doing that, suddenly maybe they gain some weight, and so it's another weight class. It's not that easy. I feel like it. And yes, maybe you have one successful competition, but then half a year passes, and then you have to do it again. The sport is still about having fun in the first place. And I don't think, at least to me, it's really not fun being strong sometimes, but not always. I prefer to be strong always, like any given day. So having those peaks and valleys is not so fun to me because suddenly you almost have to avoid matches while you are not on it, and
Hmm.
it's
And
like
you can't take a match on short notice either.
right. So
So yeah.
it's
And
not
also,
as fun.
just for the people at home, Mindaugas clearly is claiming to be natural if you think he's on juice, because I have said that I think you're natural, and people say, oh no, of course he's on something. Everybody's on
Um,
something. And I'm a strong believer that steroids are very overrated. And the only way that I have revealed that to people is just asking athletes what they think about it and not asking them to say anything about their use, anything like that, just asking them to talk about it. Would you agree with that assertion?
sorry, what assertion?
The assertion that steroids are a little overrated.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I would for sure overrated. I'm not saying they don't have any effects. Of course, if you take someone who is maybe struggling a little bit with his metabolism and just in general food, if he yeah lives a if the physical condition is far from optimized, suddenly the steroids will maybe automatically fix many of those things without you having to know how to do it correctly. So in some cases, it's a huge boost. But for a guy who's already doing pretty well, maybe it's better to just maintain that stable hormones and everything like that.
So I actually had another question that I'd asked on my community tab, and it was if you're 77 kilos and you want to become the world champion in the weight division, right? Or maybe you're not 77, but you understand to become 77 kilo world champion. Um, do you like let's say you've got completely average genetics and you take no steroids. Is it possible to become champion in that weight class? And then I guess the second question for you is do you consider yourself having completely average genetics?
Um, my genetics, I think, are, you know, sometimes people look at the muscular side of things, and you can clearly see that some person is just much more muscular than the other guy. So genetics can be good in that way. I feel like maybe I might have something a little bit special on the joint side, joint tendons, very, very not flexible at all. So that rigidity, kind of not being flexible, and I was always like that. Maybe that's what's helping for me to be very sticky, very jointy. Um, and also the hands are not the smallest, not the biggest, uh, not the smallest either. Um, I'm also trying to I'm working on my metabolism and everything like that, trying to stay relatively lean. I could for sure just carb up and maybe go to 90 kilo weight class, but I'm just trying to maintain some kind of optimum weight, which kind of keeps my frame relatively big in the class. So I wouldn't say it's anything too crazy genetic wise. It's just working correctly in the what I have, having a strategy which is trying to be the biggest frame, having a style which is suits that strategy, and
All right. So to answer the question, you can become champion in a weight class without
yeah,
special
I was,
steroids, is
by
what
the
you
way,
think.
for the first 5 years of my arm wrestling career, I was really not sure at all because I was always like maybe top 10 at Europeans when I went to try myself, which is, sounds like not bad, but actually you are quite away from number one or two.
Yeah, the gap between the number
Yeah,
10 guy and the number one guy is
it's a
pretty
big gap
huge.
because, yeah, of course, you can go and get lucky, because in total, maybe you have like what, 20, 30 people in the class. So by winning a few matches, suddenly you can be at number 10, let's say.
Hmm.
But yeah, reaching that top three, yeah, that's another game. But then I remember like 7 years in, that's where I started to realize that maybe it's possible because I was starting to do well in the Zloty Tour, like Nemirov Cup in Poland. So that's where I realized that it is probably possible. And then yeah, now I can see that it's really doable. But you really need some good diet, I would say. Um, because the mistake which I made for many years, I think, is that my diet was a bit bad. And I was trying to supplement it with some creatine or protein powder, stuff like that. And now I don't use any of that. Just more red meat, more fat, less sugar. And now it's so effortless. It works so well. Recovery is just great. So I think I solved the diet problem. And normally, if you are on a good diet, which kind of keeps you in a state which is maybe close to steroids, maybe just good testosterone, good everything, suddenly you are always kind of progressing in a good way because you just go
Hmm.
to these training sessions and little by little you are always going up. The problem which I see in many people that they stop progressing because of probably the diets, and then if you stop progressing, then suddenly it's over. Like you.
Might as
So I
well
would
retire if you're
recommend
not
people
getting
to
any better.
fix the diet.
Yeah. You're a great interview because I ask you one question and you ask yourself like three questions as you go. So they just learned about recovery, diet, results that you can get off of a good diet and what makes you stop progressing all off of one question. So that was terrific. Thank you.
Perfect.
So now completely changing subject. How did the whole goat meme start? How did you become the goat?
Oh yeah, let me remember. No, I think it kind of came from Armor's funny videos. Maybe I remember I was joking with Neil about mastering the sport completely, having learned everything there is to learn. Um, yeah, I think it's coming from that. But wait a second, the goat. Yeah, I almost can't remember exactly. I should check some old videos to see where it came from.
Hmm. So it
But
just
yeah, you know,
materialized.
uh, in a way, I am a confident guy. I'm not afraid to tell. But I don't know, I'm not afraid to show that I'm very confident. So in a way, it's just a funny character which I can use to attract some attention. So I guess that's the main purpose.
Hmm. Well, I definitely see the purpose of it. I was kind of curious about like the origin, but I don't think anyone knows the origin. It just
Yeah, I almost don't remember
sort
myself.
of
Yeah.
arrived. Well, I think what happened is they looked at your arm wrestling discography and said, "This guy is the greatest arm wrestler of all time." That's how it came to be. All right. So, who is on your arm wrestling Mount Rushmore of smartest top rollers?
Right. So how many people should I list?
Four.
Four. Uh, okay, let me think. Smartest top rollers. Not only strongest, but smartest.
Smartest, yes.
Hmm. I guess we have to at least mention Cobra Rhodes.
Okay.
I haven't seen too much of him competing live, but seems like he was a smart guy. Um,
Do you think
yeah,
you're on
many
that
of these.
list?
Huh?
Do you think you're on that list?
I think it would be weird to
You
put
could include
myself on that
yourself if
list.
you deserve it.
Nah, I don't necessarily. It's not a question I would ask myself. So I don't know.
You're
So,
on
but
my
yeah,
list, all
okay.
right? How about that? I'll let you know on my four smartest top rollers. I think you deserve to be on the list.
Well, I had a few of these pretty cool matches where my topple helped a lot. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, I'm kind of proud of some of those fights. So I guess I can see it. But who else? I guess Engin has a pretty good smart hit. His top roll is maybe not as defensive as mine or Cobra's, but it's still a very, very well designed, I would say. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Mm. And then maybe Travis Bagent used to have a very technical, also offensive hit.
Hmm.
He knows how to avoid avoid your power basically. Like he knows how to go around it.
Yeah, Travis is a like deceptively smart guy. I think a lot of people just think he was like ridiculously strong and had a lot of side pressure, but he's a very
Yeah,
smart arm wrestler.
exactly. And I'm sure I'm forgetting many people,
Maybe
but
Devon.
nah, nah. No, Devon, originally he was, I think, more of a hook guy, um, which was very beautiful to see, him having such a long lever and still, yeah, normally he has an ability to kind of get inside relatively easy because he's just that long, he can reach around you. But then the problem is that you need to still be strong to stop the match. But yeah, I wouldn't, and of course later he started doing some high hook, and only then, after having injuries, started to King's move.
Hmm.
But King's move is not something I would call smart. So
No
yeah,
respect for a
we're
King's
not
mover.
gonna talk less down here. But I think Hermes also must be a pretty smart guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a guy that was very elite at a weight class and then moved up to super heavyweights. Those are like the smartest super heavyweight guys I think we have today. Like
Like
the
Iraqi, for
guys who
example.
started very big, I think are on average less technical
Right.
and smart than a guy who had to really like when strength was equal, they were still good, and now they've moved up in weight. They and even Ermes, he's a not a very big super heavyweight, but he's v very smart and very strong. So yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
But yeah,
So
it always takes time to really master all of those details. So also must be someone who is sticking around for a long time.
mhm. So your list was
Maybe
Ermes.
Giannis. What about Giannis? I think
Giannis
Giannis
also
is
needs
also
to be
one of them.
considered.
Yeah.
We can make a top five then. So it'll be
Maybe he's almost
Giannis,
top one.
Travis, Cobra Rhodes, Engin, Hermes.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good list. I would say
I'm sure I
that's
missed
pretty fair.
somebody, but yeah,
I'm sure
that's a
the
pretty good
comments
list.
are going to be like, "How the fuck did they not mention this guy? These guys are
Right, right.
casuals." Like, yeah, I'm sure we're missing somebody. Anyway, all right. How's your left arm? Are you going to go for the left-handed 77 kilo belt? I think Daniel owns it.
I'm good. The left is good. I for quite a while it's already at the same level, I think. The of course need to test it because currently, yeah, I didn't really have too many chances to really test it. But while I'm training in the club, I'm always kind of checking how good it is, and feels like it's at some point it used to be better than the right. My all of my first big medals are left-handed, and then I got some injury, and then it took a while to heal it up. But I think finally it's back, fully back. So I would like to test myself, yeah.
Hmm. All right. So now I've got a question that I don't think you've ever been asked before, but I think is very important to ask you. There's this guy who weighs 85 kilos who's really good and doesn't lose to anybody. Would you consider getting a little bit more food down your mouth, becoming 85 kilo, and taking the belt from Davit Samushia?
Okay. Yeah, Samusha is something else. Um, I remember first meeting him in Poland, one of these Zloty Tour events, and I think that day he also won his class and I think also the overall open weight number three, which was really impressive. The people who he beat were much bigger than him. He was only 78 kilo back then. And I remember arm wrestling with him a little bit and on the side table. And it's just crazy. The cupping strength was ridiculous. Plus the hand is just so big.
And
Um,
even if you do top roll him, he can do this like pretty
yes,
comfortably. So he's
apparently he
just
can now flop, right?
yeah, he's there's no weak point.
But at least uh now after defeating Daniel Prokopchuk, I feel like I have a very good technique to fight that flop wrist. I was watching this his match with Nurdolet Aydarkhan, and I was really just I couldn't I really wanted to tell Nurdolet what to do because I think he could really get him if he was just a bit more technical. So I feel like there is a very good way to deal with those flop wrists. But of course, you still need to beat his hook, maybe beat his topple. You know
Hmm.
what? Like, maybe it's actually not the worst match for me because people with big hands, those hands are also kind of a bit long, so it's like a longer lever which I can also attack. Um, there is a chance that I open his wrist, maybe. Of course, I wouldn't have any chance in the hook, but maybe if I open his wrist and then play the game which I played against Daniel, where I kind of try to beat his flop. So maybe there is a chance, but I can see it's a difficult match. He's a beast.
Is that something you're ever going to consider trying to do? Like, let's say he's won 20 matches in a row. Are you going to be like, dude, enough is enough?
Huh. Well, maybe one day, with years, I'm also getting a bit heavier and heavier. So maybe just natural I will go up to 85. But somehow not really seeking that match at the moment. Long term strategy is telling me just stay in my own class, be the champ at this class. I guess I'm really not that dominant yet. I'm still struggling with Daniel Prokopchev, still struggling with Makarov, many other guys. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of happy that I am where I am, kind of at the top. I have all of these opportunities to meet strong people. Um, but not really seeking the match with Samushia at the moment. Not my main focus.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not against it. I can try. It would be fun to try, but not necessarily. Yeah.
The way I look at it, like we need to recruit more people to beat Davit Samushia. Anytime I interview someone that's even in that general range, I am gonna ask if they want to face Davit Samushia. Because like my next one that I want to see if Todd Hutchings can get down to 85. Because he only weighs like 96, 97 kilos. If he lost a few kilos, he could probably water cut down to 85. And I think that that would be a really good match. So I think we need to start, initially we were like, let's find someone who's 85 kilo. We can't do that. Now we can expand our search to one weight class up, one weight class down, and see, okay, can you people down there do it? Can you people up there do it? We gotta slowly find someone who will defeat Davit Samusha. So yeah, and I think you pose an interesting risk in the sense where I think you'd probably be the most technical person he's ever faced. But he's very good. So I don't know if that would happen. And obviously, you guys are in different weight classes. So it would definitely be something that you want to do, not something that you just stumble on. You'd really need to like focus and train for 6 to 9 months, only thinking about Davit Samusha. But I think it'd be a very interesting match.
Well, I think also maybe Sasha can still do it if he shows up in the proper shape because I felt like the past year or two he was not in his best. So I think Sasha still has a good chance. He just needs to stop being vegan and get back to shape.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, Nerdlet, for what it was worth, that was a 4-3 match. So the
Mm.
Nerdlet rematch I heard is coming up, and that would be good.
Mhm.
But yeah, we just got to keep throwing people at Davit Samusha till he loses, my opinion. All right. So, what is a training philosophy that people should adopt, but they don't?
I feel like people should do more lightweight, full range recovery. Um, because sometimes we just like to push the limits a lot, always focused on heavy weights and 1 rep max, not enough focus on I think it should be equally as important to go heavy and then go maybe middle, somewhere in the middle, like 70%, 60%, maybe 90 degree angle. So some motion, but still not full range. And then you go light and go full range just to keep your muscles, keep your tendons healthy, your joints healthy. So long term, I feel like that's a pretty good strategy.
So you
And
think
people
people
are
are,
forgetting that part.
yes, people are too focused on heavy, heavy,
Going
heavy.
hard, yeah. Mhm.
Have frequent days where you don't lift your maximum weight. All
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Like it should be like going light is every day. Going a bit heavier is maybe twice a week. Going super heavy is once every 2 weeks. Something like
Hmm.
that.
Okay. And what would you say are the five most important exercises for someone who's new to arm wrestling?
Huh. Well, pull-ups are very good. My biggest mistake, I think, was not doing enough triceps exercises. Because nowadays, yeah, I'm really doing this jam press and kind of yeah, focus on triceps a lot. It's completely changing my game. I feel so much more confident in the hook, and like suddenly it feels great. So that balance between my torpor and the inside power was a bit bad for a long time. So
Hmm.
some kind of triceps jam press is very important. And then yeah, triceps, biceps, pull-ups for the back. Um, Something for the hand. Mm, so many variations these days, and it almost does not matter what exactly you're doing, just as long as you are working on those muscles groups, working on the correct angles. And there are many techniques which you can do, so the exercise should match the technique, I guess.
All right. So, you know what's interesting? You're like the third person I've asked, and of the three people, the first thing they all said was pull-ups. Everyone was like,
Yeah,
you got to do
so that's
pull-ups.
the that's probably the
This is
easiest
so
one. Mhm.
important. So pull-ups are underrated in your opinion. Got to make sure you're doing
And yeah,
pull-ups.
it's a little bit of wrist at the same time, a little bit of fingers, so it kind of gives you a good combination of everything.
Yeah, because this center people focus on, but this center is also really important. And pull-ups, all you're doing is getting that center, which
Yeah.
is obviously really good. All right. So now that is the end of the written questions, but we're gonna do some match predictions. Actually,
Okay.
oh, I forgot. I have one more written question. Who's an arm wrestler from a higher weight class that you think you could beat?
Um, well, I could say, for example, Auden Larrett. That's that would be a fun one.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I hope it happens one day. Um, Engin Terzi at 95 kilo, no problem. Who else? Um, yeah,
And actually, I'll ask you some questions about the Auden match because now I'm a little curious.
right.
Obviously, I think when you two began, butting heads a little bit, you would totally wreck them. But you do admit, like, you think one day Auden's gonna beat you, right?
No, never.
Auden's never gonna beat you.
Okay, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, yeah, it will happen at some point, I guess. Just not yet. Not yet.
How long do you think he needs?
Yeah, it's difficult question. I have so many talented people also here in Copenhagen in my club here. And sometimes I'm asking them, since they are bigger, maybe one guy is 2 meter tall, 105 kilo, I'm asking him how many more years do you think it will take? And he's, always, I remember like 3 years ago, he said 2 more years, and then but it never really comes.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, Odin is pushing hard, so maybe we should expect it to happen soon. But yeah, you never know. It's a tough sport. If he sticks to it, of course it will happen at some point. But yeah,
You just
it's
think
not
it's
always
not,
easy to stick to it.
you think it's gonna take like a few years at least. Actually, I have a question. If I asked Auden how long it would take for him to beat Mindaugas, do you think it's gonna take longer than he thinks or less long than he thinks?
No, so okay, I wonder what would he say, but I'm assuming he would say half a year or something like that. So I think it's longer.
All right. I know Auden watches these. Auden, message me how long you think it'll take. All right. Now we'll get on to the match predictions. Let me just open up my little thing here that has all the matches on it. All right. We're going to start off with the big one right away. Levan and Jerry. By what degree do you think Jerry is going to destroy Levan?
Okay, so we are talking about King of the Table 13, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a bit away, so I don't even know who's actually fighting in that card, so it's good to talk about it.
Oh, really? So yeah, you'll get to learn all the matches right here, and your
Yeah.
opinion will be untainted by anyone else.
So yeah, Jerry. Like I wish Jerry could stop the match. But Levan is also, I'm sure he's just motivated. He doesn't have to fight so often. So whenever he gets the match, he can just fully focus on the preparation. So yeah, sadly, it's just 6-0 without many issues at all. Yeah.
Hmm. So like, how's Levan gonna feel after he loses?
Yeah, that would probably make him feel pretty bad. And I would be very happy if that happens, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be wrist on wrist kind of. He won't even get into the press. He'll just, but we can all dream, right?
Yeah, let's dream a little bit here.
All right. What about Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall? I know you've heard about this one.
Yeah, so looks like Brian is stronger actually. Stylistically, he looks more fluent, and yeah, doesn't look good for Eddie. Doesn't look good.
Actually,
Uh,
I have a question. I caught a little flack for saying this the other day. The other day I said, I think Brian Shaw would beat you right now. What's your opinion on that?
yeah, I would really like to find out. That's why we do arm wrestling, to kind of have these crazy matchups and see what's up. And normally, yeah, one big part why I enjoy arm wrestling is always to beat someone who is bigger and seemingly stronger. So yeah, I wonder, since he is kind of looking pretty good, maybe it will not take long for him to beat me, I think.
But he
But
can't right now.
I don't think he can do it right now. I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I think I can trick him in quite a few ways.
Hmm.
Sometimes even worst case scenario, let's say somehow I cannot hook him, mm, because I can clearly see what he's doing. He's like a good top roll guy. Normally, it's still easy to hook these guys and just kind of joint to joint, elbow to elbow. Power is normally not developed yet. And worst case scenario, I could just flop it also, which also they don't, it's just difficult to finish people when they flop. And for someone who is not yet kind of comfortable in that way, I feel like I can catch him in that way.
Hmm. That match would just
Uh,
be so awesome to see a guy who weighs, I think you weigh 250 pounds less than him. And the fact that we're
mm.
even discussing the idea that you could beat him is just very interesting to show how special a sport arm wrestling is,
By
right?
the way, you were recently talking to Philip on the show, right?
Yes. You
Philip,
know
who
what's
just
funny? I
beat.
was going to ask you about that, but I thought you would have forgotten about him. I literally took it out of my question. So Filip Larsson, how would you do against him? Or how did you do
So,
against him?
right, so, he is Swedish, right?
Hmm.
And I live in Denmark here. And I was, first time I met him, he came to one of my competitions in Copenhagen. And yeah, I met him because I was fighting in that highest division. Um, I think it was 95 plus or 105 plus, something like that. And yeah, he was pretty good. He actually took my wrist in the first match. And so he took it, and I just kind of held, I could just stay tight without my wrist. And so it just took all his energy. And then so I won the match.
But it
And
was
then I won the,
competitive.
it was competitive already back then. And then, yeah, but he was completely killed after that round. And I won the rest of the matches, and I won the class. Uh, but um, but yeah, he died. The other guy smashed him, even though he was also much smaller than him. Yeah, Philip is a big guy, by the way. Not sure if you noticed.
Yeah, so just to explain to the audience, Philip Larson is 375 pounds and 6'6". So in kilos, that's like 170, and then maybe it's like 2 meters or something. So
No, maybe actually
ridiculously
not
huge
as.
guy.
Okay, maybe is he that big now? Because at
I
that
know
time
I
he was
had
maybe
well,
140.
I've spoken with him a lot personally, so I know his exact everything. So yeah, he's really big. But
Okay,
he's only at the time he arm wrestled Mindaugas, he'd been arm wrestling like 1 or 2 months seriously, and before
right.
that he was a power lifter. So he was sort of a similar Brian Shaw type situation where you've got a ridiculously strong guy who just doesn't have those arm wrestling specifics built up.
And then later we had another training super match, where he also came to train to our club. And yeah, once again, super difficult to stop that top roll. And for me, since I am the top roll guy, it's kind of annoying. I have to adjust to something else. But then I found out, yeah, so in that super match, I think we had, yeah, 5 rounds, and I lost round one. Round two, I was already going into the hook, which is really successful against him. I feel like he has a problem with the hook. Um, but then so I was already playing in round two, but he then got a pretty good press on me, so 2-0, and then the rest of the rounds I won. But so basically, I never really lost against him, but uh, but it was close. So I'm assuming that by now he's maybe even better.
Well,
But he
I
still
don't
had
know if
that
you
big
saw
week.
the event. He just beat
Yeah,
Brad Grundy.
right, right. I was so close to texting Brad about his weakness being the hook, but then I somehow thought, wait a second, Philip is kind of my friend. We are, he's from Sweden here. Maybe I should just let Brad figure it out by himself.
And now
And I
you just
don't
told
think he
everyone on
did.
the internet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think if you hook him correctly, nice setup, just trying to get deep and then boom, get in. And then if he still surges, maybe try to stop it defensively in the kind of defensive hook and close to the pad. That works really well. So, if people want to know how to beat him, I think that's still the right way.
All right, but you still gotta be strong as hell in order to even pull that off.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think too many people who are watching this video even have a chance of stopping Filip Larsson. But yeah, and also it's been a year, so he may have sort of fixed some of his issues because you haven't
Probably.
pulled with him in a long time, right?
True.
Yeah. So yeah, and he's been like I spoke with him personally, really, really focused. Like all he's training is arm wrestling, thinks about it all day, all night, practice
hmm
2 times a week. Like he is really, really, really into it. So
And it seems like he gained weight if what
yeah,
you told me is true. So yeah,
big dude and he's
dangerous.
very focused. So he's a very interesting prospect. But anyway, so circling back, that's why you think you'd probably beat Brian Shaw because you already have experience effectively arm wrestling a Brian Shaw type
Yeah,
guy.
I have a lot of experience pulling these big guys. So Brian is of course training for how long now?
I think he's like 4 or 5 months pretty legit.
Okay, but then I think he did it before as well, just a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I watched the interview the other day and he was saying like he got on the table a year ago, but he hasn't really been focused until the last couple months.
so I should be okay. I should be okay. Yeah.
But he's also much bigger. Like he is like everyone has a big friend. He's the big friend's big friend's big friend. Like he's another level of big on top of Filip Larsson.
But you know how sometimes I'm watching some hook pullers, and if they cannot overpower people, they just kind of they don't know how to do. They don't know what to do. So I feel like in my case, I have many tricks specifically designed to beat someone stronger and bigger. So I don't know. I'm feeling quite confident. It would be a fun match if you could
I would
ever. That
love
would
to
be
see you two get on
it
the
would be
table.
so good. So good.
Yeah. Because like either result would be kind of fun. Because on one end, it's like if he wins, it'd be like, well, obviously he's gonna win. But a lot of people would be like, what the fuck? But then if
Yeah,
you
what is
won,
going
it
on?
would be the exact other way, where it's like, of course Mindaugas is gonna beat Brian Shaw. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
there's a obvious reason why both of you should win, which would make it a really interesting match. Anyway, all right. Next match is Corey and Tobias.
Okay, left hand, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I wonder where's Tobias currently. He must be getting stronger because he's still so young. So if I had to guess, I would guess Tobias, but I know that Corey is also, yeah, Corey is good. Hard to judge. Hard to judge. I don't know.
All right. Is that all? Is that your assertion? We can move on.
Yeah,
All right.
let's
What
just
about
move on.
Paul and Krasi? Paul
All in?
Lynn, yeah, and Krasimir
Oh, okay.
Kostadinov.
Cool match, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's good. Good. This one's
yeah,
very
cool.
interesting.
Okay, yeah, Hook versus Hook. Maybe Krasi top rolls. Surprise top roll.
I'll bet $100,000 with you. Krasi will not top roll. I'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah, Poland has a chance. He does have a chance, I think. What happened between did Poland ever fight Lachlan Adair?
Yeah. So they had a match at King of the Table 11. Paul Lynn killed Lachlan.
Okay.
Six flash
And then
hits.
Lachlan had a match with Krasi at some point.
Yes, and that one was 4-1. Lachlan won the
Um,
first round. Every round was fairly competitive, and then Krasi didn't want to pull the 6 rounds. So I think the technical score is 4-2 for Lachlan. So they had a decently competitive match.
so Lachlan even won?
No. Krasimir won 4-1,
Okay,
but it
yeah,
was it
fine.
was decently close. Paul Lynn and Lachlan was six
Yeah,
zero
that's what
flash
I
pins.
remember. So, yeah, that's a good match. Poland has a very good chance. Even stylistically, it's pretty good for Poland. Krasi is
Mhm.
gonna try to be defensive, but then it just works quite well for Poland. But again, I cannot. Yeah, I have to stick with Krasi because Krasi is just such a legend. So I'm gonna say Krasi.
All right, but you think it's a very very close match?
It's
I
tough.
take it.
It's tough. Yeah.
All right. Now this one is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most interesting matches on the card. Sandris against Rustam Babayev.
Oh shit! Like, how am I missing the card? Like, crazy. Sandris looks crazy these days, doesn't he? Did you see his pictures?
Yeah, I've seen.
So
I think
jacked.
he's like 107, 108 kilo, but he is like peeled, like really lean at that weight.
So he's cutting. That's why he's so lean, right?
Yeah, the match is at. I'm gonna assume it's at 105. Rustam last competed at 95, but he water cuts down to 95. So I think they're both gonna be showing up about 105 kilos, no water cut.
Because yeah, I was looking at those Sanders pictures and I was thinking it's hard to tell. He might also just be 140 kilo, just jacked. But okay, maybe he's so ripped because he's cutting.
Yeah.
Um, interesting. Babayev had a pretty good amount of time to kind of get back into the game. So I'm almost leaning towards Babayev actually.
Yeah.
Sandris sometimes likes to top roll, but I don't think it will work here. And then hook versus hook might be Babayev. So I'm looking at Babayev here. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this match because Rustam's wrist is like so hard to top roll, but this is a 9 inch height difference. Like if there would be someone who can top roll Rustam, it's probably Sandris at 105. But I still just I don't even know if I see it. I would almost love to see Rustam and Irakli Tautiev. That would be a really funny match. Like the shortest 95 kilo guy against the
Wait a
tallest
second, he's
95.
not Irakli Totiev, what's
Or
his name?
Georgi Tautiev. I said
Georgi
that.
Totiev,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Georgi Tautiev and Rustam Babai would be a lot of fun.
But here, as I think also Babayev will just grip a bit low. So the hand length that maybe doesn't matter so
Yeah,
much.
and try to go like a little wrist on
Yeah.
wrist and just make it
Yeah.
about internal rotation. And then of course Rustam's winning that game any day against Tautiev. And I think that
And
would
maybe even
probably be
Sanders.
I think that'll probably be the case against Sandris. I think it'll go inside and Rustam will just have too much arm. But if Sandris can even get to like here, he can keep his pronator just a little bit. I think it could be very interesting.
But also you see like Sanders is the guy who is also kind of proud of being clean. And those clean guys, they are always just naturally getting stronger and stronger, stronger and stronger year after year. They never really go back. Meanwhile, for Babayev, maybe his shape is a bit more unpredictable. He might show up in a great shape, but it's maybe also a bit difficult. So maybe I would kind of enjoy seeing Babayev then because he's kind of a smaller frame guy. But Sandris is still a super difficult match for him, for sure.
All right. So interesting close match, but your final
Close match.
prediction?
Okay, Sandris. Sandris.
All
I'm
right, you're switching to
changing.
Sandris.
Yeah.
All right. So this is another great one. Matt Mask and Marcio Barboza.
Okay. That's Barbora. Um. Yeah, these two. It's funny how yeah, they are very strong, but it almost feels like this is the second tier already. Two pullers who are not at the very top of the class, right? Anymore.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
at
would
some
say
point.
not vying for any belts anytime soon, but maybe
Right.
could.
Um. maybe Matt Mask looks generally a bit better lately. Somehow Barboza is just struggling. I saw quite a few of his matches where, I don't know, somehow, even though he looked huge, just didn't perform as well as I was hoping him to
Hmm.
perform. So, let's say Matt Mask.
All right. Lachlan Adair against Lars Rohrbacken.
I think it's Lachlan.
I agree with
Stylistically, I feel
Lachlan.
like
I
it looks
I
like
think
very
it's a
comfy.
really bad style matchup for Lars.
Yeah, seems like it's a comfy match for Lachlan.
Now, the only thing though is Lars kind of has a open top rolly king's move type move that he can pull off. So he's not only a presser. He can definitely king's move as
Right.
well.
But then Lachlan can also press a little bit, so maybe he would just press him down if that happens.
Uh-huh. But yeah,
So Lachlan, I
I
think
don't think
Lachlan.
Lars is going to be able to press the way he's hoping, but we'll see. All right,
And Lars,
last.
it doesn't look like Lars has that extra power, which, some other guys can just overpower Lachlan. I don't think Lars has that much extra power. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I feel like Lachlan is in the game.
So I don't know if you know who this is, but it's Gabor Bada Ducat, I believe his name is. I think he's the WAF super heavyweight right hand champion. And then he's facing Dave Chafee.
Repeat the name again. Not Day
Gabor
Chief, but
Bada Ducat, I believe it is,
where is he from?
Hungary.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's facing Dave Chafee.
Well, maybe I have to go with Dave Chaffee then, but
Uh-huh.
almost hard to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one of these ones where this guy might just kill Dave and we're like, oh shit, he's that good, you know? But yeah, I think you'd have to think Dave is the favorite.
But also not sure if Dave is in peaking or not peaking at all. Like what is his level at the moment?
I have heard Dave is in the best shape he's been in a long time. But
Okay.
he also said that before he faced Vitali the second time, and that was not a
He
close
always
match.
says that, right? And yeah.
So, I don't know if he always has said that, but he said that a few times and still had lackluster performances. Then again, he's going
hmm
against Vitali, and Vitali is not easy to beat. So,
Right.
like, he could have been telling the truth there, but Vitali's just a fucking man, so it didn't matter. So, sort of hard to know, but if he really is in a good shape, I think he'll win. But the other guy could just be a freak of nature that we don't know about yet. All right, so next match, Gabi against Barbora.
Okay, so they are running that match again. Yeah, Barbora seems like she's still progressing, so I don't see a reason why Gabby would beat her this time. But at the same time, Gabby for sure has the strength and everything else to be super dangerous. So not too much space for errors by Gabby.
Yeah,
By Barbora.
yeah, because I mean, if like Gab, this is another one of these just like very, very, very strange matches because Gabby's arm is way stronger than Barbora's, I think, but Barbora may be able to totally disconnect it from hers. But I think we're gonna see Barbora show that she is just a level above now, and she's just gonna totally wreck Gabby. Because I thought Barbora would lose to Egle, and I was
I thought
very
it would
wrong.
be much more competitive and it wasn't. So and it seems like, the thing which really separates Barbora from the rest is her technique and her being so smart. She's just doing it, yeah, so well. Perfect top roll, perfect setup, always getting the height and everything. So, yeah, what are you gonna do if she's so much bigger than you plus more technical?
Yeah.
So, very hard for anyone.
All right, so this is not a match on King of the Table 13, but it's coming up on East vs. West 16, and I'll ask you, what's your thought on Ermes against Michael Todd?
Yeah, Michael is looking real good right now. Mm, I would probably have to say that it's Michael from by seeing what he did to Camille, and Camille was exactly the style which was supposed to deal well with Michael. Yeah, that lock is just very tight, and the hand doesn't open fully. So yeah, I think Michael will take it
And
unless
how do you see the
somehow.
match going?
Yeah, so maybe the main question is how is Michael's hand gonna handle Ermes' hand? Maybe Ermes can really just dominate the hand game so much that he might still be in the game and he can kind of finish a match. But if he does not have that full hand control, then Michael will just, maybe he'll wait for a few minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, and then the match is over. Simply completely drain Ermes.
Mhm. I think endurance wise, the only way for Ermes to win is to run over Michael Todd, which might happen. But I just see Michael Todd being too strong for too long, and I think Ermes' wrist is going to gas out pretty early on because every round it's just this is hitting so hard that the amount of pump that will be in Ermes' arm, I think, is just going to be ridiculous. I think he's going to get tired, and I think that's how Michael win. Or Michael just be the fucking man and roll him over. I think that's possible as well.
Hermes had a few of these good years where he was pushing very hard. It is maybe difficult for him to maintain that shape also, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I wonder if how aggressive is he gonna be in his preparation and yeah. But Michael is
Now,
for sure looking very good right now.
now, if Michael wins this match, it's Mike and the winner of Levan and Jerry. You've already predicted Levan and Jerry. You think Levan will win pretty easy. What do you think about Michael Todd and Levan?
So I think it's beautiful that the match, I'm sure Michael was hoping for that, dreaming about that match for a long time. So yeah, I'm happy to see such an opportunity for Michael, and he might actually be dangerous.
Now, who do you think will win?
Um, yeah, that depends on how much stronger can Michael get during this time, because him being healthier right now is a big deal. That power can really grow exponentially. Um, I don't know, it's all based on that joint. So I think he just has a chance. Of course, we cannot bet against the favorite before he loses. So I'm gonna still bet on Levan, but yeah, Michael has a chance.
All right. I think that's it for the day. Thank you very much for doing this interview. Do you have anything that you want to say to the people before we call it a show?
Not much, just enjoy an arm wrestling, guys, and stay patient. Watch me beating Artur Makarov soon, and that's it.
All right. And should they subscribe to the show if they've made it all the way to the end?
Sorry, you lagged for a second. What did you
Should
say?
they subscribe to the show if they made it all the way to the end?
Of course we should. Yes, yes. You are doing a good job uh, making these, yeah, great interviews. By the way, did you decide to start doing such a thing after you kind of almost got popular?
Well, a lot of people have thought that that's why I started, but I'm just really into watching the sport. Um, but yeah, like if I started this channel on April 21st, that would definitely be something that would be like you'd have to think of it, but I started my channel like maybe 2 months ago. So it was just like I saw the interviews that were out and I felt I could do a pretty good job, and here we are. Now I
But
make
yeah,
interviews.
keep going because you are clearly very good at it. Also, you are posting on Reddit and everywhere else. So, I enjoy your content. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.